great again.
Make America great again.
Make America great again.
And we will make America great again.
When you say make America great again, which period are we talking about? The period when women couldn't vote? The period when we were hanging from trees?
I'll answer.
Or like the crack era? Which period in America are you trying to make America like again?
I actually think that I would totally rock a hat right now that said make Black America great again.
Oh, hold up, wait a minute. Wow.
Because Black America,
make America.
Before,
we're talking about make America. That wasn't the question.
I am answering your question.
Which period was America great that we're trying to replicate? Which era was it?
This is why Make America Great Again is so insulting. It wasn't great for a lot of folks for a long time.
The baton has been passed for over a century here. We've been talking earlier about if it wasn't for the Willie Mays, the Jackie Robinson, the Reggie Jacksons, the three of us wouldn't have an opportunity to play. How emotional is it for you to come back to a play that you played with one of the greatest teams around?
Alex, when people ask me a question like that, it's like coming back here is not easy. The racism that I played here, when I played here, the difficulty of going through different places where we traveled. Fortunately, I had a manager and I had players on the team that helped me get through it. But I wouldn't wish it on anybody. People said to me today, I spoke, and they said, you think you're a better person? You think you won when you played here in Concord? I said, I would never want to do it again. I walked into restaurants and they would point at me and said, can't eat here. I would go to a hotel and they say, then can't stay here. We went to Charlie Finley's country club for a welcome home dinner and they pointed me out with the N-word. He can't come in here. Finley marched the whole team out. Finally, they let me in there. He said, we're going to go to the diner and eat hamburgers. We'll go where we're wanted. Fortunately, I had a manager, Johnny McNamara, that if I couldn't eat in the place, nobody would eat. We'd get food to travel. If I couldn't stay in a hotel, they'd drive to the next hotel and find a place where I could stay. Had it not been for Raleigh Fingers, Johnny McNamara, Dave Duncan, Joe and Sharon Rudy, I slept on their couch 3-4 nights a week for about a month and a half. Finally, they were threatened that they would burn our apartment complex down unless I got out. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. The year I came here, Bull Connor was the sheriff the year before. And they took minor league baseball out of here because in 1963, the Klan murdered 4 black girls, children, in 11, 12, 14 years old at a church here and never got indicted. They were from the Klan. Life magazine did a story on them like they were being honored. I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
On a rundown edge of Birmingham, Alabama, Rickwood Field's weathered seats and retro light towers have not just seen baseball history, but American history.
Babe Ruth played here in 1929. Ty Cobb played here. So there's just so much history here, and I'm so glad that we're going to be able to share this with the country.
In all, 182 Hall of Famers have graced Rickwood's grounds, legends like Reggie, Hank, and Satchel.
As the Washington Post puts it, Rickwood Field is one of the prized relics of black baseball history and baseball as a whole, for that matter. Established in 1910, the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro Leagues called it home. Then later, a Double-A team did as well. However, as much as Major League Baseball celebrated it,
I would never want to do it again. I walked into restaurants and they would point at me and said, can't eat here. I would go to a hotel and they say, can't stay here.
Jackson was upfront and honest about the memories. Number 44 would bring up a man whose name should be dragged through the mud for eternity. And that man was Bull Connor. To give some context via PBS in 1961 when the Freedom Riders came to town, he was known as an ultra-segregationist with close ties to the Triple K. Bull Connor encouraged the violence that met the core Freedom Riders at the Birmingham Trailways bus station by promising local Triple K members that he would see to it that 15 or 20 minutes would elapse before the police arrived. Additionally, the Freedom Riders were brutally beaten and several suffered serious injuries. In 1963, the entire world would witness Bull Connor's brutality when Martin Luther King Jr. came to Birmingham to lead a children's protest against racial segregation. Connor ordered the fire department to blast nonviolent protesters, most of them being children, with high-pressure fire hoses, and commanded police to attack them with batons and police dogs. Jackson would go over exactly what happened locally in Birmingham when he was a pro ball player.
The year I came here, Bull Connor was the sheriff the year before, and they took minor league baseball out of here because in 1963, the Klan murdered 4 black girls, children, in 11, 12, 14 years old at a church here and never got indicted.
I highly, highly recommend the documentary 4 Little Girls, Spike Lee's film documenting the church bombing. It is available streaming everywhere. HBO Max, Hulu, YouTube, and many more. It occurred in the year 1963. The Triple K would bomb the 16th Street Baptist Church, killing 4 young black girls. Via NPR, the Triple K had planted bombs beneath a stairwell on the side of the church. Carolyn McKinstry later learned 4 of her classmates would perish. 11-year-old Denise McNair, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, and Addie Mae Collins. All 14 years of age. Says a lot, doesn't it?
I hope that every American, regardless of where he lives, will stop and examine his conscience.
President John F. Kennedy would address the nation after the attack. In a statement, he would say, and I quote, "If these cruel and tragic events can only awaken that city and state, if they can only awaken this entire nation to a realization of the folly of racial injustice and hatred and violence, then it is not too late for all concerned to unite in steps toward peaceful progress before more lives are lost." Reggie Jackson would go on to share stories of teammates who would help him during this time, white teammates, and how he slept on couches for months until locals threatened to burn down the entire apartment complex unless the slugger would vacate the premises, so he did. At a luncheon prior to the game at Rickwood, Jackson recalled the story of legendary University of Alabama football coach Paul Bear Bryant. He'd say, as transcribed by AL.com's J.D. Crow, Jackson said Bryant put his hand on the ball player's shoulder and said, "This is the kind of N-word we need to beat." Obviously, he didn't say N-word, he said the word. The coach would name top collegiate football coaches, Jackson would say. He meant it as a compliment. I didn't take it as such. Jackson, alongside comedian, correspondent, and ex-Daily Show guy Roy Wood Jr., who, again, I reiterate, is doing great in his post-Comedy Central career, he was asked if he were a better person, having come up through the city where Jim Crow laws existed, and whether he was stronger after enduring the social inequities in the city. Again, Jackson would give a very direct and strong response, because that is what it required. Humans are not built for that, he would say. You don't put a human being in a situation like that and think they're better for it. I wouldn't want a white person in a prejudiced community to go through that, frightening their life to make him better. I wouldn't want a black person to go through that. I wouldn't want a Native American to go through that. I wouldn't want a member of the LGBTQ community to go through that. To go through that and think it makes you a better person, F you. He would credit manager Johnny McNamara for putting his foot down on restaurants and hotels because the policy was rather clear. If Reggie Jackson can't eat there, we don't eat there. If Reggie